Coming up, we are in the inbox.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey, Shaun Priest, how you doing today?
I'm all right, Stephen. How are you?
Oh dear, one of those days, is it?
No, not really. It wasn't. But as you just keep picking me up about me touching my microphone, I've got a terrible habit lately of touching my microphone to know where it is. It's become a bit of a twitch, a bit of a involuntary action. And
Well,
I'm very
stop
conscious
it.
of it. Well, I can't. Oh, where am I? In case I drift off to the left or right.
I know, that's your anchor point, isn't it?
It is. I keep touching it. I'm so sorry. Anyone watching able to see this, I am very sorry. I will try and stop it.
He just loves that microphone so much, he just cannot leave it alone. It's because it's got the double tap muff on there. He loves that, doesn't you?
It has, yes.
Why is it so difficult to turn off an iPhone?
Oh, wow. Yes, I was just struggling to do that now. And when I was at the gig, seeing Chris McCausland, very good, by the way.
Clang!
I forgot.
There goes the name there, little name drop.
My mate Chris. I forgot to turn my phone off, and of course, you suddenly remember as the first act comes on. Oh, I've got to turn my phone off, and then trying to do that. Like, okay, I just hold the side button down. No, you don't do that anymore. That just brings up Siri. Okay. So which one is it? I'm taking screenshots, the volume down and the side button. That just takes loads of screenshots. And then you're trying to do it without having VoiceOver shout out every 2 seconds. Yeah, it's difficult.
And every time I've done it, nearly every time, I try and power that off, the phone or the watch, actually. Whenever I try and do it, the same thing always happens. I end up, hello? Emergency services. Oh, yes. No! I've sent it. Or the siren goes off, or there's a siren on the watch. And if you hit, and it's on the same page as the power off button, so you end up the siren screaming. Honestly, I think they need to separate that power off function from everything else because it's terrifying. Every time I power off my phone, I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack, which is maybe a good thing that when the emergency services are called, I can talk to them and explain how I feel.
You can do it in settings, can't you? I think there is just a switch off option. Yeah. Is it in general? I think so, but you never use that.
Oh, it's just a nightmare.
The funds. We're tech experts, Obviously, we are not.
I want to put this out there. Is anyone who's using a Mac having an issue getting stuck in the dock? Whenever you go to the dock with VoiceOver on, you hit VO and then D, and it will take you to the dock. Trying to get out of that into, say, a Finder window is almost impossible after that. I cannot. You can open up the Finder, but it won't read any of the content. Yeah, that's right. You can't. That's how you normally do it, right? You would Command Tab. The only way I found to get into the Finder window is to open up another application. It's like it needs something else to get the focus on so that I can get back to the Finder, because otherwise I'm going between the Finder and the dock with Command Tab, but when I get to the Finder, it's not reading anything. It's not able to move up and down. It's just going bonk all the time, and we all love bonk.
That's ridiculous.
But it's happening all the time.
What OS is that, Stephen Scott?
This is the very latest in the finest.
Seconda, or whatever it's called.
Mac OS Sequoia. It's named after a tree, apparently.
Okay, Sequoia. But that's not a beta?
As well. No, it's not a beta, no. This is just running a regular... Just running the regular
Mac
OS.
users, let him
Assemble.
know. Is it not just pressing the escape key? Does that not just jump you? Okay.
Yeah, I've tried it. I cannot get it. The only way I can get it to work, and it must be a bug somewhere, and of course, could it be an issue with VoiceOver? Could it be an issue with the system? I don't know. But it just seems to get stuck, and it's really annoying. And it's funny, actually, I only found it on my MacBook because I thought, why is it not doing it on the other Mac, on the Mac Mini that I've got? Why is it not doing it on there? But it's because I always have it. There's an application that runs that controls the studio lights in here. And it's always on, right? It's always there because I have a shortcut set up that I can press a button and all the lights come on as they're supposed to.
Ooh.
And as a result, it's all set up to basically click various buttons on the screen. So that's great. So it does that, but that means that application's always live. So that is the application I'm kind of cycling around to get to the Finder, which is why I don't have a problem on there. I mean, okay, the answer is open up an application, you're fine, but it doesn't feel right.
That seems wrong. Yeah, no, that doesn't. What about if you VO-M to go up to the menu?
Well, that's been fun as well. It doesn't like that sometimes either, I've noticed. The menu seems to get lost in that. It will only take me to the status menu. I don't know what's going on. There must be a little bug in there somewhere.
Windows
the answer.
11. It's beautiful.
Lisi 10 and Jaws. That's what we want. It's so funny. I'm so pathetic. Honestly, I am so pathetic. I sit every day and I say the same thing to myself. I am a Mac guy. I love Mac. I'm all in on Mac. And then something doesn't work and you go, do you know, maybe I'm a Windows guy. I don't know. Maybe I'm a Windows guy now. I'm going to go to Windows. And then I go to Windows and I hate everything about that. And I go, okay, I'm a Mac guy again. And I just go back and forward and back. Anyone who's listened to this show for more than 10 minutes will know that I'm a bit of a flip-flopper when it comes to Mac and Windows.
Well, you say when it comes to Mac and Windows. I would say when it comes to absolutely everything ever.
How dare you?
Are
I have
you
been an
rearranging
iPhone user for many years, and there's no way an Android's taken over this.
Well, that's true, actually. That's one point you've been rock solid on.
I'm just
Okay,
the only
I'll
thing
let you
between there is the different types of phone. I mean, look at the 16e. It says iPhone 16e. So funny, right? I go into the Apple store. When did I go in? Last week at some point. And I said, hey, can I see the new iPhone SE? And he said, well, yes. He said, but it's only here till tomorrow. And I'm like, what? What do you mean it's only here till tomorrow?
One.
What do you mean? What happens after tomorrow? And he's like, well, because the new one comes out. And I'm like, that's what I want to see. And he's like, no. He said, you want the 16e? And I'm going, we're playing that game, are we? Right, okay.
Well,
we're being very semantic about it.
He's actually correct.
I mean, he is, but, everyone's going to call it the new SE. So, come on, get a grip, right?
Well, are they? I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong, Stephen Scott.
I'm calling it the new SE. I'm sticking to my guns on this
You
one.
still call X Twitter?
I do.
Okay. You're stuck in your ways.
Stubborn man.
Why? Are you actually thinking about getting the 16e?
Do you know what puts me off, honestly?
Yeah.
The MagSafe. If there was
I
MagSafe
knew you were
in
going to
there,
say that.
I'd be so tempted to, because I think it's just a great little phone. I think about what I use, right? I mean, I know a lot of people love to go on about, the LiDAR and the Pro, and the Pro Max is a wonderful phone, but it's a big phone and the battery is amazing. But I'm hearing great things about the battery inside the 16e. The early reviews are saying, you are getting true all-day battery life on it.
Yeah.
So that's quite intriguing. And it just seems like a really nice little device. I was thinking of getting one for my mum anyway, but I was thinking, would I like this? I imagine it's going to be very light. I don't know how big it is. I don't know if it's the size of an iPhone 16. I think it probably is.
6.1 inch screen.
Oh, so it is. Yeah, so it is.
It's going to be the same.
I guess like an iPhone 14, really, isn't it, in terms of design?
There's not much in it, is there?
No.
It's funny, though. It's something as, we talked about comparing it to the standard 16, any other 16 in the range. And the thing that keeps coming back is the MagSafe, something I would not normally think of. But actually, most of the chargers in my house now are vertical. So, I just stick the iPhone to it. And that wouldn't work.
No.
But would I really care about it? I'm not sure. And obviously, they are saying there's going to be a slew of cases with MagSafe built in. That could be the answer.
And I think there are already. I don't know if you can get any from Apple directly that do that, but there certainly are plenty. I mean, Spigen, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Spigen.
I believe so. Spigen, Spigen. I've gone to them a lot. Otterbox, very good for cases. They're very good for cases if you really want to secure your phone. Otterbox, very good with that. You got all kinds of different styles and designs. But yeah, these will all these companies will be doing cases with the MagSafe ring in it, so you can connect it to a MagSafe charger. So that's one way around odd.
it.
Don't you think that is
isn't it?
really odd, though? Because MagSafe was something that Apple themselves brought in, and yet I just don't understand the decision to remove it. But hey,
I wonder if it's just you never know, right? But there's a reason for it, and I think it's probably to distinguish it from the 16 range entirely, or to distinguish it within the range. And I wonder if a lot of the people who might buy the 16e won't necessarily care about that. They'll still be the people who'll plug it in. Those will still be the people who just plug in their phones to charge because that's what they do.
Arguably, yeah, I think you're probably right. But there are other accessories. I don't think the MagSafe accessory range is as wide as maybe they thought it might be. I mean, what accessories do you have apart from chargers that you can stick on the back? What else would you use?
I mean, there's a couple. There's only one I've kind of seen. I want to say Motion or Notion. I can't remember the name of the company, but there was a Moment. Was it Moment? There was a company that came out with a whole range. It was one of those
three, listeners.
Definitely one of those three. Absolutely guaranteed, and it may also be none of them. So, it's like a game show, right? Take your pick. And we'll all lose. But no, they actually come up with a lot of great ideas for like tripod mounts, which I thought was a really clever idea.
Oh,
so you got a tripod mount that was MagSafe. It means you could just take your phone and just stick it on there. You could, connect all kinds of, like, if you wanted to connect a camera and an external lens or a light to your camera or phone and stuff like that. You could do all that, and that was kind of cool.
That actually is a really good idea. Yeah,
But maybe there's a bigger ecosystem than I'm aware of. And remember the Pocket? Was it Pocket Dot? Is that what we called it? The
Yes.
Pocket Dot, the Braille display that's coming. That's MagSafe.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So people are clearly doing it in mind, but. Yeah, I don't know. I am tempted by it. I like it. I haven't had hands-on with it yet. I'm going to try and get hands-on. If not, will we be near the Apple store, the Apple HQ
Of
over in
course,
California?
it doesn't matter how far away we are. You'll make your pilgrimage.
I think I might try, because I always try to get to an Apple store. And, well, what better one to get to than the one in California?
Can we go to the actual campus?
I think we could. I'm saying that with no knowledge of where anything is. But
Tim Cook, we're coming. For you.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right.
Actually, let me roll that back. We're not coming for you, sir. We're coming to visit.
I have a feeling the algorithm's going to pick up on this, and this is going to end our career before it even started. But no, it sounds like a great phone. I hear a lot of good things about it, but I don't know. That MagSafe thing just kind of, and a lot of people aren't happy with the ultra wideband not being there. I don't know if it bothers me so much. I know some people are bothered.
When was the last time you used it?
Yeah, I can't think.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's like LiDAR, A lot of people talk about, it's great, it's wonderful. And I get that, but I also think, can it do be my eyes? Can it do either? Because if I'm looking for something in an urgency, in an immediate situation, I'm probably going to turn to one of those rather than turn to door detection and hope for the best.
It's true.
So,
true.
Anyway, shall we do this?
Well, I think we should.
We get email. We get your email every day. Here's your mail today.
Oosh! Sorry, I was touching my mic. Sorry.
Stop doing that.
That's a feel where it is. I don't know which way I'm facing.
Where do you think it's going to go?
It's not where it goes, it's where I go. I suddenly swivel around and face in the back of the shed. Hello.
New chair coming to Shaun's shed. There's a whole show in that one. Right, let's get our first message in from Gregory.
Hello, Stephen. This is Gregory.
Oh, hello, Gregory.
hello.
I'm going to comment on the February 3rd podcast/YouTube video.
Oh.
I want to thank you for allowing me to bathe in the oasis of humor, technology, a little waffling, and the great banter that was on the podcast.
Okay.
It allowed me to escape the insanity of the news in the world. So thank you again for all you do.
Thank you, Greg. That's very kind of you. Very kind.
That was very nice. I mean, I was left out of the hello there, I noticed, but, I assume that's...
Quite right.
Thank you, Gregory. Very nice.
Yeah. I know it's tough. And look, there's moments you think to yourself, I'd love to talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the world, but I also know that people come here not just for the tech, because good luck finding any of that sometimes. We're like a value chicken pie. There's probably some chicken in there, but you got to search around.
It could be horse. He did mention the waffle as well, so we do deliver on the waffle.
We do.
Thank you.
Although, in saying that, he clearly hasn't heard yesterday's episode yet, where we talked all about the politics of accessibility for most of the show.
Skip that one.
I think that was a really interesting chat, though, because we didn't really delve too far into the politics. We talked more about the importance of the accessibility being embedded into development of applications and websites and all that. And that was a really important conversation to have. Brian was a great guest. I hope he'll come back on again soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting. Thank you for that, though. I'm glad you were able to bathe in the oasis of whatever this is.
Thank you for allowing me to bathe. There was a big gap before the next
yeah,
word.
I know.
Okay.
Thank goodness I heard that in advance, otherwise I'd be concerned. Right, let's hear from Rebecca.
Double Tap should receive an award for an excellent analysis of the dispute between the UK and Apple. A lot of great points were made, and I appreciate the fact that people are pitted against each other. I appreciated the informative material pertaining to encryption as well. That will help every listener, not just those in the UK. A lot of people could learn from Double Tap's approach to controversial topics. I always learn something new from different perspectives, even if I have a different point of view. We need more of this in the world. Thank you again.
Wow, thank you, Rebecca. High praise indeed.
Positive, praising feedback. I'm stunned, but thank you so much. That's really nice.
I'll be honest, I was kind of proud of that episode because I think we did cover that as well as we could, and I think we gave, I think, an important perspective on it. The problem is that if you go to social media, you're generally going to hear, all three sides, which I think are, extreme one side, extreme the other. They're coming to take away your freedom. They're not taking away enough freedom. And somewhere in the middle, trying to kind of get the facts out, but no one's paying any attention. And, the reality is when it comes to this particular decision, and I say decision, request by the UK government to essentially, create a backdoor into the Apple ecosystem so that, the UK government on request would be able to access information and data. That actually, the truth was that a lot of the functionality that Apple took away, the advanced data protection, was something a lot of people weren't even using anyway. And actually, the important thing, and maybe we didn't highlight this enough, but there has to be a series of court involvements here. This is not just like the Prime Minister of the UK can just make a call and say, what's in Stephen's iPhone? That's not how it works. And I think that's the problem. People oversimplify this for their own for their own benefit, for their own agenda a lot of the time. And that's where it's difficult to get the message out to say, look, guys, it's not as extreme as you think it is.
At the same time, of course, there is a process that these law enforcement or government agencies need to go through to obtain the data. It isn't just a case of, hey, well, let's have a look at what this guy's doing. But if a backdoor is in place, the argument is that it could be abused, it could be hacked, it could be, people will know there's a backdoor there.
Yeah, I'll be honest, and I'm not being political about this. I would say I would probably trust the government at the moment in the UK with this ruling. But to your point, it's not about that government at the moment. No. It's about other governments around the world looking at this and saying, okay, right, so there's a way in. There's a way into the data. Yeah. And it's that's the concern. It's what they're opening up here that causes the problem. So while there may be no ill intent from this government, and I don't think there is, if I'm honest, I don't believe there is. Until we see evidence, until we see evidence of it, I'd rather just stay on the side of, let's stick to the truth here, right? Let's see what the purpose of this is. They are trying to, look, we've all said the same thing. We all say, the access to horrible material online. And I know people tend to go to the extremes about terrorism, and that, of course, is a major aspect. But my biggest concern for kids today is the access to online pornography. It is, literally by saying, are you 18 or over? Yes. You've access to the most horrific images you could imagine. Yeah. And that, to me, needs to be stopped. Now, that is not going to be solved by this act or this particular situation. That's not going to solve this because that stuff is already online. That needs to be tackled, and I think that really needs to be tackled sooner. And they are bringing in laws, like I think they have to bring in now verification, where I think the UK will be one of the first countries in the world. What you have to do, apparently, if you want to view this stuff, what you have to do is go through a process of, I think it's you send an image of yourself. You've got to take a picture of yourself. You've got to essentially have biometric data. I don't know all the story, but basically you have to have a verification process of who you are, and essentially that
ID card,
kind of thing.
What have I been saying for years?
And you've been for this.
I think it's great. I think people should have to pass a test or have some sort of internet passport. And you know what? You can't create an anonymous account. You can't, you get thrown off a service. Hey, I'll just grab a new email and I'm back on. I think if you're held responsible to your identity, I think absolutely you're going to behave yourself more. And I think it'll make it a better place. So
I don't know if I'd say people will behave themselves more. I think that ship may have sailed. I see certain individuals who I'm not going to name, but there are certain individuals online who are prominent online. And I think, you are giving your name, you are quite happy to give your name, and you're acting in a way that I think is beyond the pale, as far as I'm concerned. And they don't care. Yeah. They just don't care. And I think some people are emboldened by, let's just say, events recently.
Yeah, well,
And,
yeah, maybe,
they
of
feel like
course.
they can do this more. They can say more sexist or misogynistic or
Well,
racist
there's clicks in
things.
controversy, right? We all know that. That's a career path now. But the point I'm making is when it comes to legal or illegal actions, I think it's far too easy to do things anonymously.
It's funny, right? Because I grew up in the radio industry, and part of my job in the early days was to do talk radio, and that's what I did. And of course, one of the things that drove talk radio was controversy, right? I mean, we were ahead of the game in that respect. Our
of
job
course.
was to
It's
court
not changed.
controversy. No, but it has. No, it has. Because when I was doing it, there was a line. You would have a line you would go up to, and you would know. Now, no one really knew what the line was. No one would say it's written down in a book somewhere, this is what the line is. But you kind of knew there was a line, and you knew roughly where the line was. And sometimes it was your own moral line. You would go up as far as you would take it. Other presenters would say, no, I'm going to go over that line. I'm going to take it to this degree. But they would have their line. And you kind of, and those who clearly went over the line would be sacked. They'd be, kicked out. They would just have gone too far. And I think it kind of policed itself in a strange way. Now that was different because that was professional controversy, if that makes sense. You were kind of, this was your business. Now
Well, it's a professional
that's exactly
standard.
where we've gone today, right? We've moved to that, but the problem is now there's no line, and there's no understanding of a line, because these people are out to shock and horrify, and they're doing it on social media. They're doing it to fit an agenda, but they're actually really doing it for likes and clicks, so they can get known. They can get,
Which is money.
I mean, look, to bring up the orange scream, but when apparently Trump would sit there before he was president. Apparently, this is way back in 2015, 2014, in the quieter days of life. Remember those days? Those were nice days. Remember those days?
No.
And he would sit there, and he'd have 4 TVs apparently in the office. And he would wait. He'd be watching them all. And if none of those channels had anything about him on it, he would tweet something. And that is when, all the channels would just one by one start to come up with, he says this, he says that. Now, that's
Who
the
knows?
narcissist in him, right? And he's not
that
alone.
could be an urban myth. That could be an urban myth.
That would not surprise me at all about that man.
Well-
That would not surprise me in any way whatsoever.
Look,
But he's not alone. That's my point. That's the point. That this is going on and on and on. Now that's not going to be solved by what the UK government have done and what Apple have done as a result. My fear is that whilst I am very much like you, I mean, look, the internet ID idea, I'm for that, right? I think, yeah, of course, why not? I'm okay with that. I've nothing to hide. I don't care.
Yes.
And there's lots of people in the same boat. But it's what happens when the not wrong government takes over, but the government you fear takes over. Then you've got a problem, I think. And so, but I just don't know what the solution is.
It's true. No, well, there isn't an easy solution. Otherwise, we would have done it. It's absolutely true.
Turn the internet off. Just turn it off.
Oh, dear. Let's go back to what? What was before the internet? Oh, I can't even remember. What did we
Sitting around
do?
watching television. Remember that?
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. Or the radio. Radio was fun. I still listen to the radio. I like the radio. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Rebecca. I think we mentioned what you talked about there.
I think so.
Somewhere in there.
Wow.
Thank you for the message, though. I really appreciate it, Rebecca. Let's move on to Cece.
G'day, folks. This is Cece on the line from Montreal. Pardon me. I heard a discussion recently about blind people wanting to drive. There used to be an event in Quebec. It was a fundraiser for dog guide schools or buying dogs or helping pay for them. I'm not exactly sure what. And it was called the Crazy Race. And they would use Quebec soap opera stars or small music stars as navigators and put blind people behind the wheel of these cars that a local auto school had made fit to run for at least 20 minutes. So essentially it was a smash-up derby. And I did it in the early 2000s after having only had 8,000 or 10,000 kilometers of real driving before I went blind. I thought, I'll clean up on this. When the event began, the navigator said, okay, go out to the right, turn left, And as soon as I hit that gas pedal, my adrenal glands went wide open, and I was traumatized for the next 3 hours. It was so terrifying and bizarre, and it took my body. The race lasted about 20 minutes, and we didn't finish. Well, we finished with a bang, literally, by running into a wall, which was fairly exciting. And we got hit and hit a bunch of other people, and it was it was an exciting time. But like I say, I think I even suffered post-traumatic stress disorder on that event, as the adrenaline was so intense. And I had stopped skateboarding by then, of course, so I wasn't quite used to those kind of highs. But that's a story about blind people driving. And I think in French it was called La Course des Folles. L-A, second word, course, C-O-U-R-S, I'm guessing. Des Folles is D-E-S space F-O-L-L-E-S. So there might still be something, and if it could become a huge attraction for blind people to come to Quebec in the summer and drive this smash-up derby, it would be a great way to help earn money for dog guide schools and for blind people to get their fix of cars. I think you'll get over it very, very quickly. Thanks.
Wow.
Hang on, wait. Firstly, was that a good thing or a bad thing, that story? I can't tell if he enjoyed it or did have a terrible, terrible time.
It doesn't. I have to say, the words post-traumatic stress disorder tell
Doesn't
me
sound
that
good.
that did not go as planned for CC.
And secondly, is that really a good idea? So was that a demolition derby with blind people driving with some celebrities in the passenger seat?
Who clearly
Me,
didn't value their
Celine
lives.
Dion.
Yeah. That's
smashing
right.
into
Brian
smashing
Adams.
Into, I've got to say, it does sound fun.
Does sound good,
wow.
yeah.
Sounds like a Mad Max movie. Okay, very good.
I just, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Insurance.
The thing is, I always remember a Simpsons episode when there was like a box car derby type thing they did. Mm-hmm. And, the whole thing was they had to, create these little cars and then they would race them down the street and all the rest. That's kind of what I imagine this to be.
Right.
That's what it is in my head.
They place us in little wooden go-karts and just push us down a hill. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
Hope
it
for the
doesn't
best.
sound like that. Wow. Okay. Go Quebec. Well done.
Wow. Well, there you go. I listen, I think I'd be up for it.
Would you though? Would you really?
Listen, if you're gonna shake me out of my comfort zone, that is one way to do it.
Well, you kind of think, well, I can't see anyway, so, I'm just
Enjoy it. It's like a roller coaster, isn't it? I mean, you
just go for
go.
it. Yeah, but how safe is that? I mean,
It doesn't sound to say. I'll be honest. Cars crashing into each other randomly from anywhere doesn't seem like the safest. I mean, I don't know how good these soap stars are at driving cars.
but they're not driving.
No, that's right. You're driving. Goodness
Yeah.
me. No.
Okay, thank you very much. Sounds fun. Let's make it happen.
There may be a reason why there's only been one of those. Probably still clearing it up. Wow. Okay. Right.
We'll try that. We'll get that going. We'll start it up in Toronto.
Double tap
maybe.
derby.
We'll
Can
get
see it now.
AMI, and Mr. F will be in the navigator.
He'll be in the pub.
He'll be afterwards, definitely.
Oh, yeah, but we all will be trying to figure out what the insurance bill would be for that. Goodness me. Okay, thank you for that, CC. That's enlightening. Okay, let's move on to Aaron, who's got some comments on the AwareWolf Gear cane.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. My apologies for just now getting back to you about the AwareWolf Gear Urban Xplorer cane and my thoughts. I've spent the last few months, 6 I believe, with the Urban Xplorer and found that it isn't for me. There are a number of reasons why I will be going back to my Ambutech carbon fibre cane. First, adjusting the length of the cane. While this is a good idea in theory, in practical terms it's completely the opposite. Adjustment of the cane takes time, and even if left adjusted to the person's height, the collapsibility of the cane goes away, making for awkward folding and figuring out where to put the cane as one side is now much longer. Second, the strap from the cane handle, after a few adjustments, is very loose and doesn't tightly hold the cane in place. This elastic cord overage can make the cane unfold if it decides to leap out of your pocket. The website claims that it's extra strength and can hold more weight. I found this to be a false advertisement, as the core of the cane is made out of aluminium and no reinforced cabling, unlike the ATC sold by the company. So the Urban Explorer is in my collection of backup canes if I ever need it. On the matter of Oko going subscription, I don't mind. Code monkeys and accessibility professionals like myself need to eat, after all, or at least that's what people keep telling me. Lol. I wouldn't mind paying, but I don't use the app when going out to justify the cost. Now, if my job required me to travel more often, then yes, I would pay the cost, and rightfully so. We can't expect much for nothing. We, as a community, can shift the market of apps and products just like the entire global market can, and have at certain points throughout history and within industry movement. I could go on, but I'm afraid Laura would stop reading my email, so I'll come back and write another one here soon. By the way, have we come up with names for Bob the Plant's kids yet? Now that's the real question of the day. Keep safe and warm in this cold winter from a sunny but cold Kentucky. From a sunny but cold Kentucky. Respectfully, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Yeah, Bob's Babies. That's what we call. I didn't actually come up with names for Bob's Babies.
No, not individual names. No, we're terrible parents. Always, Bob is actually. Yeah, we'll come up with names. How many is there?
Well, there's one behind me at the moment, hiding.
Where's
I
the
think,
other,
just behind
Stephen
my
Scott?
monitor. The other one's on the other desk, but I like to split the kids up. I don't think they should all be together all the time. They should play alone. I think it's important for them to learn to live independently. Flourish.
Okay.
Independence.
Yeah, just.
In other words, I've put it on another desk and forgotten about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Urban Explorer cane. I haven't tried that. I was hoping to get hands-on with any of the ATCs, actually, but I haven't yet. So I'd be interested in other listeners' opinions.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is one person's opinion, and, that's entirely valid. It might not be for you. I mean, it's funny, I think it depends. I mean, I even find the Ambutech canes, although they're very strong, and I do like them, I find for me they're a little bit too heavy, so I've ordered myself one of those Revolution graphite canes. You get them from the Side Village events through the year, but you can also get them directly from the Queen Alexandra College in Birmingham, who will send them out to you. So yeah, I've ordered one of those.
I need a course, like talking of cars, car owners can do a car maintenance course, like an evening class or something. I need something in cane maintenance, because I went to a gig the other day with to see Chris McCall.
Did you?
Yeah, my mate
God,
Chris.
you should have mentioned it. I should have brought that up.
Yeah. But I had 3 canes there, and they are all absolutely filthy, all disgusting, full of mud.
What do you do with these canes?
I have no idea. You know what? The first, let's say, 4 segments are all beautiful, absolutely fine. That bottom segment, that bottom last bit of cane is absolutely wrecked. It must be, where you roll it across the curb and things, don't you? And so,
do you live near a swamp?
No, I don't know what I do. I had to bleach it and clean it and wash them, and still absolutely disgusting. But I want to be able to almost. What do you do? I
just love the idea of you going to a course on cane maintenance. That's like the most boring course you could ever do. It's like, you could do computing, or you could do languages, or you could do first aid. No, I'm going to go to cane maintenance. How to wipe a cane clean.
I've got 3 canes in my porch, right? The ones that actually have ends on them that I can use.
Yeah.
I've got 4 canes there with all broken bits at the end. I have no idea what I need to do. I
throw them all out and buy a decent cane. That's what you do.
That's
and
your
take
answer
care
to
of it.
everything.
Yes.
That's your answer to computers, any tech. Just throw it out and get a new one. No. I want to pimp my cane, I believe the youth say. I want to paint it. I want to chrome it up. I want LEDs on it. Let's make that happen. I don't know how to. I'm not a mechanical. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a DIY guy.
I think to stick an LED onto a light or a cane doesn't require an engineering degree. Even I know that.
How do you rewrap it with those special stickers that they
just buy a new one? For God's sake.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Anyone who's an expert on cane maintenance, please come on.
Please, if you do email in about this, please start the email off with "Shaun is an idiot." And then I'll know that you're going to talk about this topic. So if it says Shaun is an idiot,
Yes.
then I know.
How do you clean your cane? Let me know. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. Oh, no, I've bored myself. Oh, terrible.
Bleach is the
Carry
answer,
on.
right? Get a little basin. I usually put the bottom part into, just leave it in the bath, and fill it up with bleach, some water, some hot water, and then I put it in there overnight. Just the bottom, just the
you're
bottom
so boring.
section.
You're such a cane nerd,
I am,
Steven
yeah.
Scott.
So,
You've got
sorry, I'm
you've
sorry.
got a process.
Hang on. No, I thought you wanted a course in cane maintenance. I was starting the course for you. This is module 1.
Very good. Bleach is the answer.
Well, do you know, to be fair, it's the ball, right? The ball always ends up getting stuck because it gets full of gunk. So
does it?
Yeah. I've had
Where
it
do you
where
live?
the ball just
On a
gets
swamp?
in a swamp. Yeah, that's absolutely true. So you're rolling the cane along, and the ball will just end up getting full of.
No. It's when I'm shorelining the curb, you see, and it just rubs off all the sticker, the coating of the section. I want to make it nice and new again.
I just don't understand what you do with this cane.
All right, I use it, Stephen Scott.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
You don't use it right, I'll tell you that.
No, probably not. Not one O&M lesson in my life. Still.
Yeah, I think we've just answered the question. Right, okay, moving on. Thank you for that, Aaron. Appreciate your comments. Now, on this subject of Oko, and yes, developers do need to eat. I do tell you this often. It's important that you eat. Well, Camille's also got a thought on this, but in particular around the issue that Oko has in Quebec.
If OKO was unavailable in Quebec, that would be one thing, but as of today, February 26th, it is unavailable in Canada. Michael of OKO told me that there should be a solution created by either March 1st or March 8th. To Shaun, Quebec is spelt with an E with an accent aigu, and therefore Stephen knows how to properly pronounce Quebec.
Thank you.
Happy tapping, and thanks again to Laura for reading our emails.
Laura's wonderful. Yes, I 100% agree. And clearly so am I, because I said it right. Thank you, Camille.
Yes, thank you, Camille. You are absolutely right. It was not available in Quebec for the longest time, and for some, we talked about this, didn't we? I still don't understand the reasoning from pulling it from the rest of Canada simply because it wasn't available in Quebec, and that apparently caused people to be confused. I don't understand the reasoning, but hopefully, I haven't checked, but please do. It should be solved around now, but I have no confirmation of that.
Well, they said they were going to be launching it this week in Canada again, but not in Quebec. So you're not going to get it in Quebec. Not Quebec, no.
Yeah.
Quebec sounds to me like someone who's in an 80s movie. I don't know. Steve Quebec. It sounds like a name from an 80s film. I expect Police Academy or something. When
He's
I
a cop that doesn't play by the rules.
That's right. It's his last day on the job.
Sorry, I do it to annoy Stephen. I do apologise. Quebec. There you go.
Right, let's move on. Thank you, Camille. Peter has a cautionary tale about AI. Settle in.
Hi, Stephen, Shaun, and all double tappers. It's Pete in a freezing Robin Hood County. Hoping all is well with you. Thank you for all the interesting shows. I learned something today. I didn't know what a blindism was until today. Thanks for that.
There you go.
Anyway, here's a cautionary tale. I'll use brevity where I can. There was a consumer programme on BBC Radio 4 called You and Yours. It's still going. And around November time last year, one of the presenters was talking to the head of fraud at Starling's Bank. And he was talking about the starting, basically, it's on the move upwards of voice cloning scams, where scammers are trawling social platforms to get clips of voices and then cloning them to give them that little call and ask for some money to replace a phone or something. And if you fall for the first hurdle, they then refer you to WhatsApp to continue the transaction. That's when the bells ring loud and clear. Don't do it. Put the phone down. He says that you should have a password or passphrase between you and a member of your family, so that if a phone call comes and asks you for money for bus fare or replacement this or that, just ask for the password or passphrase. If it's given, then you're going to have to do it. And if a scammer's got hold of it, then there's nothing you can do about it. But just be cautious, and you should be okay. I know what it's like to be scammed because I was, the day before Christmas Eve 2023. Fortunately for me, I got all my money back because the bank said to me, not many people phone up at 25 to 4 in the morning on Christmas Eve and say they've been scammed. He says, I knew you were telling the truth. And it was a very sickening thought, but I got all my money back. I don't even answer my phone now. I just let it go to voicemail. So it's a salutary tale, and sorry to have to bring it, but I don't want to deflate people's images of AI or machine learning because it's very, very useful, and I love it myself. Anyway, take care, guys, and we'll talk again soon. From Pete in a still freezing Robin Hood County. Bye for now.
I hope you've heated up, Peter. Get the heating on, relax, chill out. I always love when Peter sends a message because I don't know, I kind of roughly know where Peter lives in the world, and I get the impression that it's just a beautiful little cozy place. I imagine a roaring fire. I imagine nice music on in the background. It's always got. I remember the Christmas one message we got from you, Peter, and it had a beautiful sound to it. I really enjoyed listening to that message.
I always just think it's in the middle of a forest.
Yeah, that's right.
Robin Hood County, Sherwood Forest. That's where I go from.
He's in a house in the forest. I mean, he's not just sitting in the middle of a forest.
Well, who knows? He may be a wild man. We just don't know at this stage.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Peter, you're so right to bring up scams because, we should regularly remind people that anyone could be scammed. We've all, I think, at some point, either, if not fallen for it completely, come very, very, very close. It's a matter of timing and just the amount that they send out. And AI does make it even harder because it can sound like a loved one making a call in an emergency to you. And of course, lots of people will just want to help at that point. So you've got to be incredibly careful.
It's a sad state of affairs because I've had a couple of emails in the past that haven't been wanting to be read out, by name necessarily. But I've had emails in the past from people saying, we've contacted other shows, we've mentioned this issue to other people. No one wants to talk about it because they don't like the idea of AI being talked down. That surprises me. That really surprises me that happens because I think to myself, look, you have to be honest about this. Yeah, AI is wonderful. It's got great potential for us. It already is working for a lot of people. Be My AI is an amazing tool. What is going on around the world with the technology we have is impressive. But, like anything, it'd be like saying the internet is great. Yes, in theory, you're right. It is, but it's also full of horrible stuff. It's full of, evil, bad, terrible things going on. And you have to acknowledge that, right? You have to acknowledge the reality of that. And to say that this is an issue, and to say that, this is something we should be concerned about is not something we should be hiding. Because, look, this is dangerous. There are the amount of times that I've been called by my mum and dad who will say to me, oh, I just had a call from, and the guy knew us, and he was really nice. And he was chatting away, and he's telling us all about, coming to do and of course the work that was never done to the house, but he was convincing them that he'd done this work years ago before they had moved into the house. And I'm like, even if this is true, how would they have your number? That's the thing I always come to. It's like, how would they know you if they've never met you before? If they've never come across you before, how would they? Oh, well, they just know because I live here. Well, that doesn't make any sense. But this is the reality. The rationale kind of falls away, right? You begin to trust because you get the impression that the individual, and that in this case, that was a human being doing this. It wasn't a robot. But, of course, it's getting worse now because if you can clone a voice and you can make it sound like someone, and I think that advice you gave there, Peter, is a brilliant one. Okay, what's the password? What's our word between us? And of course, if that guy if the robot can get that right, then, well, that's a different story. But I don't think it
then
can.
He deserves the money.
Well, exactly, yeah.
I mean, look, there are things you can do, and that is a great, having a family safe word or whatever you want to call it. But, with certain parents or whatever, as you mentioned, maybe that's not a thing that could work anyway, because I know, certain family members of mine wouldn't be able to remember that.
That's true, yeah.
Anyway, so you've got to be on your guard constantly. But you know what? It's not your fault if you do get scammed. I think that's the important thing. If it does happen, it's not your fault. Then you need to take action to remedy whatever's happened, get your money back or whatever it may be.
Well, with my parents, for example, one thing I've done is made sure that their bank cards and their information is kind of out of the way. So they have access to it if they need it, but really, and you'll kind of be able to read between the lines. I'm not going into huge detail here. It's a very personal thing, but, they're not really able to deal with this stuff on their own anymore. So for that reason, it's kind of on me to deal with, and that's fine. In a way, that's a good thing for me because it means I know that there's less chance of someone getting access to bank accounts because they can't just hand over that information. It's not at hand for them. And that, and sometimes you got to take a bit of control there. This is the other side of it. As I often say to you, it's personal responsibility first for me. So it's like, right, okay, what can I do to try and avoid some of these issues? Because someone comes to the front door. We had it recently where someone had come to the front door and, oh yeah, I'm gonna, your roof needs to be cleaned, so I'll clean your roof. And remember me, I was the guy who met you. And he clearly knew that when he was talking to my mother, that she was not understanding who he was. He clearly knew this, and he used it against her. And fortunately, and it was one of those classic things where, my mum had told my wife, don't tell Stephen, he'll get really annoyed. And, my wife, thank God, told me. So I went around the next day and I met the guy and I said, I don't know who you are, but you're a scammer and you can get lost. Yeah. And, I came around here to fix. I don't care what you did. You're not doing it. And if you do it, you're not getting paid for it. So it's up to you. You want to work for nothing? Go ahead. Otherwise, hop it. And he wasn't expecting that, and unfortunately, that's the problem. And I think to myself,
but that was a catch, right? I mean, there could have been there's so many occasions where no one would have.
Well, that's the thing.
Up.
I've got friends of mine, right, who have parents back. So they have parents here, but they now live abroad. And I think, what do you do in that situation? I mean, God, you can't do this over Skype.
Yeah.
So
you know what?
Certainly can't as of March 5th. I think is it March 5th?
Yes, Skype is no more. Yeah. It's funny. Landline for me is no more either. I mean, for the longest time, I'm talking years and years, the landline was just a scam line. That was it. I got no other calls on it other than your computer's got a virus.
Yeah.
And pointless. So it's gone. Yeah, it's definitely a problem, and AI is going to make it far more difficult to identify a scam. But we do need to be on our guard. You're absolutely right.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. Brian's got a tip for us on the whole subject of using ChatGPT voice mode on the app. Remember the issue we were having getting out of the call was one thing, but then getting back into the app itself. Yes. Brian's got some tips on this.
Here's a quick tip for you for using voice mode in the ChatGPT app for iOS. After you end the voice chat, when the page switches to where you can rate the message, just put the focus at the top where it says voice chat ended after XX seconds, image, and double tap with one finger. It should close that particular page and return you to the main screen so you don't need to close and open the app each time. I finally got live video in GPT. For some reason, I didn't get it initially, despite a subscription. I've only tested it a couple of times, but it seems better than Gemini live video. I'll keep testing and let you know after a few more days. Brian Clark.
Yeah, they did an update to that app recently. I actually don't use the app now so much in that way. I've done, I think, the same thing you've did. I use it as a shortcut. So I use the action button and I just hold in the action button and it brings up the voice mode right away. And that suits me, to be honest.
So handy.
It's so funny, though, how much more I'm using that since I've done that. I don't know why that is. I've been using it a lot more. And
it's like be my eyes on the Ray-Bans. I use it all the time now, even if sometimes I wouldn't have used it like that. It's just the convenience,
It's funny because, you end up just chatting away with it. And it's funny, right? On the left side of the phone, I've got this button that takes me to ChatGPT. And I've got the right side button, which takes me to Apple Intelligence. And Apple Intelligence and I, we don't talk. We just don't talk.
Oh, you say Apple Intelligence, you mean Siri?
Yeah, which is not Apple Intelligence by any level. So I don't know if you saw the latest report. Apparently they keep pushing back the release of what they're calling the more conversational Siri.
Yes.
It just keeps getting pushed back. And a lot of people online, a lot of the journalists and a lot of the commentators kind of having this view that Apple are falling a little bit too far behind in this. I don't know if it necessarily matters if they get it right.
Well, this is the Apple line. I don't even know if it's true anymore, but the Apple line is Apple sits back, watches, and then comes back and does it right. Now, the only fly in the ointment here when it comes to AI or Apple Intelligence is that they've announced it. You know, this should be this, and that's where it.
But I think they had to do something.
They had to.
They had to announce at least something, because I think if they had just said, "Well, look, we're working on it," or "It's coming," I think people would just say. But again, I think the thing about Apple has always been that you're kind of trapped in there by the ecosystem. And I know people say, "Well, you know, that's a bad thing," and hence the DOJ thing and all the rest of it. I say trapped, but we're trapped by choice, if that makes sense. Yes. Because there are other options out there, and you absolutely could. I could just say screw Apple and go to Google and get an iPhone, what's it called, a Pixel phone tomorrow, and get one of those and live my life, you know, semi-happily. But you know, I'm not going to do that. That's my choice to do that. But I could do it. But you know, when it comes to the work they're doing behind the scenes in Siri, I think Apple. I said this at the beginning when Apple Intelligence first came out. And it was kind of being told, you know, we're going to wait for 6 months or whatever it was before it rolled out at that point, that I felt Apple fans would be more forgiving. And I think they still will be. There's people on the outside of that bubble say, oh, I don't know how you can be bothered waiting. Bear in mind that, you know, it's not the only show in town. We do have ChatGPT access. We do have Google Gemini. We do have Claude. We do have all the other ones, Perplexity. All the other ones are there. So it's not like we're stuck. We have nothing to use.
No,
I just
totally
think we want
agree.
we want the Apple embedded assistant that kind of knows us better than anyone else because it's got all the data.
I want it to control my phone. I want to ask it to call somebody, and it doesn't do a Google search. I said open, I can't even remember what it was now, Voice Vista the other day, and it did a Google search. I'm sorry, we shouldn't be at that stage. But yeah, I'm still being patient with Apple. They did say it's going to roll out, and they do seem to be having problems. But I am hoping it appears soon in the next update. I'm hoping there's going to be some improvements. But who knows?
Well, we shall see. We need to wait till iOS 19 before we get to that. And we're not that far away from it when you think about it. We're going to be announcing that in a couple of months. So, you know.
That's true.
Somebody may say that makes sense.
Can I just say as well, thank you for the tip on how to, we were getting stuck in that voice chat. Still, the interface on every single AI app out there is terrible when it comes to accessibility. I will say that. But also, we did get a message from Claire through WhatsApp, who sent me a text message through on WhatsApp saying the same solution, just double tap and it will go away. So thank you, Claire, as well.
Yeah, just like this podcast, you can double tap and it'll go away.
Yeah.
That's why we call it double tap.
The trouble is, we'll be back tomorrow.
Building in the instructions for you, right in there. Really, one more on Thunderbird. This is the mail client. Someone wants to respond on our conversation around that.
Hi there. I was listening to your show today on Microsoft 365, and I wanted to say that I absolutely love Thunderbird. It is accessible, at least on Windows and Linux, and very easy to use. On the Mac, not so much. The Mac Mail app is definitely the way to go there. There are great scripts with JAWS and NVDA as well. I enjoy your show and wanted to share my opinion. Have a great day and keep up the excellent podcast. Guy in Ohio.
Oh, thank you. That makes sense, because it just said here, Guy on Thunderbird, and I thought, we don't know his name. Right, okay, so now we know your name is Guy. Okay, that makes sense now, right.
Thunderbird is a drink as well, so maybe...
It's also a fantastic show from the 80s? Was it 80s?
No, it's got to be earlier than that.
Was it 70s? Jerry Anderson series, Thunderbird.
Thunderbirds.
People who were long-time listeners to our show back in the old place would know only too well, because that was the theme tune. I believe
5,
4, 3, 2. It was the 2 I always liked. 2. Oh, I love that. Puppets and rockets. I mean, what else could you possibly want?
What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay.
The mail client.
Yeah. You know what? We really should test this out. I haven't used it in absolutely years. I had a few problems with it crashing stability-wise, but as I said, that's years ago. So absolutely, I'm going to try this out again. So thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. It's good to know there's some either scripts for JAWS or NVDA add-ons as well to make it even more accessible. So I'm going to try this out.
Yeah, I think you should. I mean, I'm going to try it as well, but I think if the Mac version's not so great. Oh, and by the way, the Audacity thing, remember the Audacity?
Oh, yeah, it's fixed.
Yes, all the way to hell again.
Oh, is it gone? Is it up, in a new update, or just suddenly stopped working?
It's not reading out the things it was reading out the other day. I don't know what's going on. It's stopped reading stuff.
Broken it.
I'm getting
Stephen
sick of
Scott
it.
broke it.
Sick of it.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
So it was all going so well, and then it's all gone horribly wrong again.
We had Robin on telling me all about Outlook and the tips and tricks, how to use the calendar and things like that. All absolutely spot on and correct. My Outlook has a lag on it, like 4 or 5 seconds, and in the calendar. So I'm tabbing, and it's taking that long before it says anything. And then I'm doing another action, which it's impossible to use. I don't know why that is, but obviously I could try uninstalling it and reinstalling it, but I'm going to try Thunderbird instead.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you could do is if you contact the disability answer desk at Microsoft, they might be able to talk you through it. At least
that's a good point.
It'd be good for them to see what's going on, right? See it in action, see what's going on when you're going through that. Because the thing is, something might be happening visually on screen, but it's just taken an age to respond. That used to happen years ago with Outlook. I remember that was a constant problem.
I'm a throwback. Okay, thank you very much.
You haven't updated your Outlook since 2004. Might be the problem. Listen, that's it for today. We're back again tomorrow. We're going to dig into the whole Mobile World Congress event that happened, and there's rumours of an Apple event coming, or at least a launch. We'll get into that tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.